Hello and greetings everyone, Darth Boreas here with another video. Now today I wanted to give you a little bit more insight into why you should care about Star Wars. Now I've already made a video on what you're missing out on, and in addition to that, why Star Wars is important for the real world and why you can't let it die. But this time I want to focus on what you are actually getting out of this and why you should be interested. Now, this video was an idea that I got when I have interacted with a Gen Z YouTuber who is super happy with Star Wars. She got into Star Wars about 6 months ago, and for the last 6 months she has absolutely, how do I say that, become a huge fan of Star Wars, reading the books, watching the movies, watching the TV shows, watching lore videos like crazy, watching fan-made stuff, buying merch, buying lightsabers, learning how to use a lightsaber, all of these kinds of things. Now she's even infecting her friends with it and saying, hey, look how great this is, and getting her friends into it. I have witnessed Gen Alphas looking at the first Star Wars thing in their entire life and absolutely loving it. I have seen new generations look at Star Wars for the first time in their life and being absolutely amazed how cool it actually is. Now when I say this, I have to put a disclaimer up: before Disney's Star Wars. Usually not the original movies either, because the original movies are a little bit dated by now, and that means the first 3 movies made by George Lucas, and to a lesser extent the second set of 3 that Lucas made, the prequels and the OGs. And those were solid movies, but as I explained in other videos about Lucas, Filoni and so on, they aren't the best things that Star Wars has to offer. Now in this video I actually do use a little script, so I'm not missing out on anything important. But the main thing I want to get across is that Star Wars is just great entertainment and a great addition to your life. And it can be pretty much everything. So I'm just looking right now at my script. Do you like magic? Great, because Star Wars not only has magic in it, it has, technically speaking, one of the best magic systems ever made in any kind of genre, in any kind of entertainment. Because the Force in Star Wars is, technically speaking, unlimited. There is nothing that you cannot do with the Force in theory. There have been creatures using the Force to create new life, entirely new life forms. They have used the Force to power technology that is incredible. Like completely self-repairing and self-producing factories and stuff like that. They have had creatures so powerful in the Force, they're not only creating planets but creating suns and entire star systems. One of the major reasons why the Star Wars galaxy looks so vastly different from any real world galaxy is because the entire galaxy is its own experiment. It was almost entirely artificially created by the Celestials, which were beings that were just super powerful in the Force. So they created planets, they created suns, they created star systems, they created black holes. They created black holes around prison planets to make sure nothing gets in or gets out. They have used the Force to bring back the dead. They have used the Force to create entirely new species or alter species. They have created parts of the Force that didn't exist before. There is achieving godhood through the Force, true immortality through the Force. There is nothing that the Force cannot do. The Force itself seems to be a completely unlimited magical system with no boundaries except your own imagination. We have official rule books for the RPGs, we have video games that expanded so much on Force powers. There's so much more than just Force lightning. There's Force powers that could be straight out of a D&D rulebook, like Force fireball, pyrokinesis, cryokinesis. You have Force powers to freeze time, to go back in time. You can teleport with the Force. The Force can do literally everything in theory, yet at the same time this magic system is super limited by the users. And you see, as time goes on in the galaxy, the force powers of users generally degrade and become lesser and lesser and lesser. And that is to the point where most force sensitive people can only do the very basics like telekinesis, force push, force pull, lightsaber throw, stuff like that. They are barely capable of using force lightning or force healing, if even that. Indeed, in the new trilogy, apparently force healing is now some super cool ultra power, when this was the very basic that every Jedi used to have back in the day. So the real limit of what you can do with the force is just you, or better said, your character, or what you want the limits to be. In theory, it's unlimited. In practice, the user limits what is possible with the force, even though there is also all kinds of conjurations going on that you can do with the force. You can throw icicles at your opponent. There is just so many cool things that you can do with the force if you want to. You can alter force powers depending on the character, and so many things. You have all kinds of mental, let's say, links that you can establish to do all kinds of things to people around you. Basically, any superpower that any character in, say, the Marvel universe has is possible with the force. You can be strong as Thor. You can basically do anything that the Hulk can, which would more likely be force rage. You name any magical power, it could be achieved with the force. And if you can't do it with the force directly, there's Sith sorcery, and sorcery rituals can achieve things that are way beyond the capability of the actual user himself. Darth Bane said that, technically speaking, anything you can do with Sith sorcery you can do with just your willpower and the force alone, which is true, though Sith sorcery makes it a lot easier to achieve this. Same goes for Sith alchemy, and so on and so forth. You can enchant stuff, yada yada yada. If you like magic, that is basically the way to go. The force can be used with hand gestures. It can be used, see Sith sorcery, with rituals or incantations, with words, like Harry Potter with waving a wand and saying a spell and ta-da. That's Sith sorcery as well. There's so much you can do with this. But let's move on. It's not just the magic system that's cool. Do you like guns? Do you like swords? Well, we have both. You have really, really cool swords and really, really cool guns. If you like first-person shooters, Star Wars has that. If you like elaborate sword fighting, Star Wars has that. There's a game specifically for that. There is so many cool settings that you can have in Star Wars. Star Wars has all kinds of technology as well. You have super high-tech sci-fi elements with the Starforge, which basically produces starships completely on its own. You have the ability to create black holes or traverse through space by shortening space itself. You have all kinds of technology that would be, according to NASA, a Type 3 civilization type, where you can create or destroy suns. You have, at the same time, Stone Age level societies like the Ewoks, and you have anything in between. You could have a medieval society or any other kind of society, a cyberpunk society, whatever you like, set in Star Wars, no problem. You have all potential, all possibilities there. If you want to have The Witcher set in Star Wars, there's no reason why it couldn't. Just do it if you like. You have all these kinds of how do I say that, of different settings that would be possible in Star Wars. I had a person actually make a fan-made system where the entirety of Warhammer 40k takes place inside the galaxy of Star Wars, which in the unknown region is absolutely possible. Which brings me to the next point. It is so diverse in a positive sense. I don't mean diverse in, you know, what real life, real world made out of it, but diversity in races, in mentalities, in philosophies, in species, in planets, in landscapes, in everything. No matter what you're into, Star Wars has that. There is almost unlimited, like there's said to be over 1 billion species in the galaxy, and the vast majority of them have never been touched by anyone. So you can make your own species if you like to, no problem. You can make them however you want them to be, because again, in the Star Wars galaxy, everything is an experiment. You have Kashyyyk, was a terraformer experiment that got a little bit out of hand. You could have any, no matter how fantastic element on a planet and make it whatever you like, and the reasoning being godlike divine beings with magical powers and insane technology made it that way. There is no limit to your imagination if you like that. And that includes the unlimited potential for making your own stories. As I said, not only can you make up anything that you like and set it inside Star Wars, you can take other franchises and set them in Star Wars, no problem. Indeed, some of them would fit super well into Star Wars. There's no reason why, say, D&D couldn't take place inside Star Wars. There is lots of things that make that possible. But there's also unlimited potential to roleplay, because whatever you are into, you can have that happen inside the Star Wars galaxy. There is no way, nothing that is that's not possible within the Star Wars galaxy. You can do whatever. But let's go back a little bit to the actual, how do I say that, the entertainment factor. Do you like fantasy stories? Great, because Star Wars has that. Do you like sci-fi? Star Wars has that. Do you like crime stories? Ooh, Star Wars has really good crime stories, because in Star Wars there's not just the technology and the whole weird, let's say, searching for clues and stuff, but now you have murderers and other suspects that can use the Force to disguise and wipe away evidence. You have detectives that can use the Force to find clues that would otherwise be inaccessible, if you like that. So the spectrum of what you have to think of in Star Wars crime becomes a whole different level of what is possible, what you have to figure out, what you have to keep in mind. You can make witnesses lie using the Force, and if you are an investigator, you have to figure that out. So there's really cool possibility to tell crime stories, but there's so much more. Are you into horror? Well, I can tell you that Star Wars has some of the most brilliant horror in all of entertainment. Ghal and Ghal, if you don't know what that is, I'm not sure I should spoil it for you, but basically I have yet to see a creature as, not even evil, but as horrifying as that thing. You have Abeloth, who is super terrifying. You have Nakash, who is super terrifying. You have the Force Wraiths in outer space. You have all kinds of weird creatures that exist inside Star Wars. You have all these Force ghosts and other things that can happen. You have so many undead on Korriban. You have haunted and otherwise protected dark side places to explore. There's horror potential in Star Wars. Like, there is a planet that makes people go crazy on visit, just to give you an idea. There's so much mystery there as well. So many unsolved puzzles, so many unsolved riddles, so many things that no one ever fleshed out or went into real detail with. There is so much potential for romance too, because you can tell such great romance stories in Star Wars of all kinds. You have some of the, I'd say, best stories in romance being told there, from love and betrayal with Darth Malgus and his girlfriend. You have Anakin being so obsessed with Padme that he basically drives her away. You have super happy marriages like between Han and Leia. You have the most unlikely romances like between Luke and Mara Jade, who at first wants to kill him. You have tragic ones like Kyle Katarn and his wife. You have super interesting layered ones like Darth Vectivus and his entire family. You have so many potential cool stories to happen here, and some of them are really well fleshed out, like the whole Anakin Padme story is on another level. But that's not all that there is. If you like comedy, aside from some intentional lighter scenes in say, Star Wars, the movies and the TV shows, you could have brilliant sitcoms set in the Star Wars universe with just normal people. Or maybe you have a child that is force sensitive without anyone noticing and just messing with people, which could also go the horror direction, by the way. There's so many cool things that could happen if you want them to. But speaking about characters, you have so many super well written characters where the writing is next level. Like, I'm not just saying Luke, Han, Leia like everyone knows them, or Vader, Palpatine. Do I have to say the whole Anakin to Vader story arc is pretty good, and if you know the entirety of Luke's life, that's also a pretty good read. But we have so much more. We have Vitiate, who is probably one of the best villains mankind ever conceived of, definitely superior to Palpatine. You have Darth Revan, who is one of the most complex characters that Star Wars has to offer. You have Marco Ragnos, who is just the ultimate badass, except Tula Kord is even more badass than him. You have Darth Bane, who is a basically philosopher with a sword. You have Talon, who is like the ultimate seductress. You have Nihilus, who is power absolutely gone mad. You have the wisest of all characters with Traya and stuff like that. You have characters that are just super, how do I say that, super fitting and exploring the universe so much, like say Darth Maul or Kyle Katarn or Mitra Surik. Probably also Obi-Wan. You have so many cool stories, say, of Darth Caedus, who you follow from his earliest being born throughout his childhood, through his youth, through his adulthood, through his fall, through his war, through him becoming a sort of old man. Like, you have all of these stories that follow characters throughout their entire life. You have basically the same with Anakin and Luke too. And if you read all of that, that is so impactful. Like the story of Darth Caedus spanned real world 13 years. And many people who discovered these books as teenagers had followed Darth Caedus throughout his entire life as they aged themselves, which is one of the coolest experiences a human can have, I think. You also have super unique characters that I think have not really been explored in other media, that are kind of their own archetype, like Corran Horn, like Galen Marek, like Vectivus, probably to some degree even Ahsoka, though parts of her story are done in other franchises as well. You have 50 years of continuous storytelling across hundreds of authors, dozens of publishers, creating thousands of characters in multiple media. There's just so much. If you now start with Star Wars, you're probably set for life and you don't need anything else anymore if you are really into it. There's just so much of that stuff. But it has more, because Star Wars is ultimately entertainment. Yet at the same time, it offers real life advice. It's based on real life history, real life philosophies, and can actually get you through difficult times, which it has helped many people. It's so based in reality that there is an entire religion that spawned from Star Wars, a real life acknowledged religion with the Force. You have people that use Star Wars to escape the real world, because Star Wars is great escapism, because while it is based on the real world, you probably have a hard time realizing that while you are reading or watching Star Wars. It's just really good escapism if you want to get a break from reality at some time. It's also full of spirituality and also down to earth, which is a weird thing to say, but that's just how it is. You have so many stories in Star Wars that span across millennia in world. You have stories that start, say, with Exar Kun at the end of the Ancient Sith, that span all across to the Luke timeline. These are stories that span for unbelievable amounts of time, with so many cool developments to follow. There is so many cool character archetypes in Star Wars. If you like Sherlock Holmes, you have basically Sherlock Holmes as an admiral with Admiral Thrawn. You have Dr. House type characters. You have characters that are super mustache twirling evil people who are just evil for being evil. You have super complex evil characters like Darth Maul, who is actually a good guy with really good intentions and who's puts other things above himself and is willing to sacrifice his life for whatever he does. At the same time, you have Jedi that are goody two-shoes, that are holier than thou, arrogant, and you have Jedi that commit horrible crimes and do stuff that are worse than anything any Sith ever did. So you really have a huge spectrum of things. Obviously, you also have a huge amount of merch from basically all kinds of things. You have the ability to learn Star Wars martial arts with lightsaber combat and stuff like that. You have entire clubs across the world teaching children how to use lightsabers and teaching them the different lightsaber combat forms that Star Wars came up with. You have one of the probably the biggest fan base in the entire world, which is just so intensely into Star Wars, and there's all kinds of levels of fandom as well, and it's known across the entire world and across cultures. If you wield a lightsaber anywhere on this planet, people will know what it references. You can instantly connect to people through it, and these stories are connecting people across generations and across nations, across cultures. It's just really, really, really cool. And you have so many cool things to think about if you're into Star Wars, with all the different cultures that exist inside Star Wars teaching you about interactions in the real world. And to top it off, the storytelling in Star Wars is next level. Now, some fans have compared it to Naruto. I personally like Naruto. I've watched the entirety of Naruto and Shippuden. Boruto, not so much. But with Star Wars, you have similar characters. You have an Orochimaru type character, you have a Jiraiya type character, you have a Naruto type, you have a Hinata type. Basically, most of the most iconic characters in Naruto are also to some degree present in Star Wars. You have twists and turns that are more shocking than the twists and turns, say, the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones or other things that Martin wrote. You have characters that are more iconic than the Star Trek ones. You have better romances than in most of the romance movies out there. More believable anyway. You have a bigger evil than the Lord of the Rings has. You have better storytelling than some of the greatest authors of history had, like say Homer, or well, I wouldn't. Probably Shakespeare too, if you look from it from a modern standard. Not the language, just the storytelling in itself. There is just so many cool things. Do you like video games? Star Wars has hundreds of them, and I'd say more than a dozen of them are actually really, really good. Some of the best video games are made for Star Wars. Clone Wars and Rebels are potentially some of the best TV shows you'll ever watch. You have the original 6 movies, which are really, really good and timeless, even though I'd say that the first 3 movies kind of suffer from the technological differences from back then and what we have now. You have so many cool things to learn and to do in Star Wars, and it's just so cool to see how other people pick up on the hobby, that are exposed to some level of Star Wars that they haven't known yet, and go nuts, because Disney Star Wars is the worst Star Wars has to offer, and has so much better stuff. Check out the what's it called, Star Wars Old Republic MMO cinematics. Watch them. They are brilliant writing, good movie making, great action. If you are into action movies or action stuff, Star Wars has that too, by the way. There's just really nothing that Star Wars does not have, and to me the biggest selling point is that Star Wars can make you super emotional about certain things happening. When Chewbacca died, millions of people cried their eyes out. Grown men, muscled brutes cried their eyes out. You have the fall of Darth Caedus is probably one of the most tragic stories ever written. More tragic than than the fall of Anakin to Darth Vader. You have redemption stories like with Revan that are insanely well written. You have so much going on in Star Wars that is just cool. I have songs about Star Wars that I just listen to and my eyes are getting tearing up, because some stories really stick with you and some characters stick with you throughout your entire life. I have not seen a franchise that has spawned as many S-tier characters as Star Wars has, and the future looks somewhat bright, because while Disney, well, they are turning around, let's see where that goes, but we don't need Disney anymore, because Star Wars has become so much bigger than George Lucas or Dave Filoni or Disney, because now fans are producing what Disney refuses to. You have Star Wars animes completely produced by fans with AI. You have great Star Wars songs and Star Wars music. You have Star Wars life advice videos, you have Star Wars cooking videos, you have Star Wars videos, Star Wars fan movies that explore completely new characters and planets and territories and stories. You have fan-made movies about existing characters, you have fan-made TV shows, you have fan-made live action, you have fan-made comics, you have fan-made stories, books, whatever. The fans are delivering what Disney refuses to deliver. So even if Disney ruins the franchise and doesn't do anything good with it, though I think it's turning around somewhat now with Kennedy gone, but even if Disney doesn't, the fans won't let it die. There will be so much more fan material in the future, and there is already spawning so much fan material with the rise of AI right now that is really, really good. Some really great projects, really entertaining movies that are being created right now. And with Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order and the next game that is coming out likely 2028, we might see a big resurgence of Star Wars thanks to Cal Kestis and his story. So what I want to tell you is that give it a try, and maybe don't start with Disney Star Wars, or the original trilogy. Maybe you just want to watch the in-game cinematics of Star Wars The Old Republic. Maybe you want to give the Clone Wars a try. Maybe just start with a reaction mashup of seeing how people react to certain things that happen in Star Wars. Maybe you just want to have a YouTuber or a streamer on Twitch or something, just watching alongside them. You can be a part of this community, and I really, really suggest that you give it a try, because I would be surprised if you wouldn't find something in Star Wars that's unique for you and that makes you really like it and fall in love with it, as so many others have before. I think Star Wars is probably the only franchise I'm aware of that has 6 generations now that are into it and that love it and that keep on watching and buying these products, because Star Wars is just such a great classic story. And while it does have its flaws, every franchise has, it is so good that the flaws don't really matter all that much. Now, with that said, I wish you a fantastic day, and may the Force be with you.